How did England beat France in the World Cup quarter-final? Can they beat France? Because they're the world champions and they're really, really good. Look at all these lovely shiny players. Then you've got England with really good players also. Jude Bellingham, one of the stars of the entire tournament. Saka's been very good. How are they going to play? Will it be the 4-3-3 that has been very useful so far in the World Cup? Or will Gareth Southgate revert to that 3-4-3 system that he quite likes? Because what you get from both managers are managers who don't like to lose, obviously, but what they do is they focus their tactics on not losing, not conceding chances, rather than trying to flat out win. Sounds a bit silly, but that's how you win tournament games. The team who makes the fewest mistakes tends to win. So it can be quite cagey. Now, this is how I think both teams will line up. And I'll tell you why I think that is based on how the teams have played so far and where their strengths and weaknesses are. This is what the managers will be looking at. Now, what you have with England, as we know, is the 4-3-3s work very well. You get Shaw can overlap and get forward. You've got a winger in Foden who can play on the left or comes through the middle here. Very good in the counter-attack. Kane tends to drop a little bit deeper, so you can get Foden in behind, maybe with Saka as well, and with Bellingham breaking into the box. That's how they score some of their goals. Then what you've got deeper on the pitch is Declan Rice anchoring the defensive two. He can drop back in the centre-back pairing if you want to, but he anchors this, can help distribute the ball from the back. Henderson's a good ball winner, safe, gets everyone G'd up, gives lots of energy in the midfield, wins the ball back, that's what you want. Kyle Walker, really quick. Now, these all make sense for England's attack because they can play in possession and pass the ball around to control things, that's what they like to do, but also they can break in the counter, which is what Gareth Southgate ideally wants to do. You saw it against Senegal, they were really good in the counter-attack, worked very well. Now, France, quite similar. So they have a back four also. What they've got is Theo Hernandez tends to go forward far more than Jules Koundé, who's really a centre-back. He plays the same role for Barcelona, actually. So he's like a centre-back who plays at right-back, and he kind of comes across this very trendy thing that teams do now, where a back four becomes a back three. You push forward the wide left. That means that although they're playing a 4-2-3-1, Mbappe comes off the wide area into these positions in the half space. This is where he's most dangerous. That's where Mbappe goes on the prowl. That's where he scores his goals and causes all the damage. So you kind of get Giroud pinned here. You get Dembele, plays mostly on the outside. He's like a traditional kind of winger. So he'll play very much wide. So while Koundé stays in this line here, so you see the lines here. Koundé's in the half space, turtle power, and then Dembele's on the outside here. So if he goes to the outside and overlaps, Dembele can come inside. That's the kind of rule of this positional play. But mostly it's for protection, because Koundé, Varane and Upamecano form the back three, with Tchouaméni and Rabiot, both solid players in midfield who push up to join in but not commit too far forward, because you don't want to leave space in behind for the England counter-attacks. Then you've got Antoine Griezmann, who you remember plays at Atletico Madrid, very good player, not quite the same player he was, not just lightning fast like he used to be, but he'll float in and around to help link play. Because what France tend to do is they start players wide and they come inside once they've got the ball out wide and they push up a little bit, and we see it in their passing maps. So if I show you how they played against all the teams, Australia, for example, here you see Dembele and Mbappe very far wide, but what you also see is that the right back, Pavard in the first game, is a bit deeper, so Dembele is more of the wide player here. Then Theo Hernandez very much the wide left, with Mbappe going to the half space. That's what they do, two forwards, Giroud and Griezmann. Makes sense. Denmark, same thing. Denmark played a 3-4-3, so they had wing backs, which is I think why Hernandez is a little bit deeper here, but then you got Mbappe wide, Dembele wide, and then you've got the two forwards coming through the middle, a bit more like a 4-2-4 in that game. Then same thing, Mbappe and Dembele wide, that's where they are. But Mbappe's attacking through the middle. He's scored a heap of goals in the World Cup so far. I can't remember how many exactly there are, but the editor will undoubtedly have put how many there are that he scored on the screen in front of you. And if you enjoy useful information like that from our editors at Tifo IRL, say thanks to the editors by subscribing to Tifo IRL. We've got 300,000 subscribers. Thank you for doing that already if you have. We really appreciate it. And I know that comes across like I'm joking, but I'm being serious. Thanks. Now, back to the thing here, right? So Dembele wide, we know that. Mbappe wide. But how come Mbappe is always in these situations if he's getting the ball here? Because what they do, what the old France do, oh, where's the ball gone again? I found the ball. So what they do is they get the ball wide, someone like Mbappe over here. Then what you get is Giroud's over here, obviously. Griezmann will float in about. Tchouaméni might push up, Rabiot's here. What Mbappe and Griezmann do in particular, this is something that England will be aware of, is they play these 1-2 like bounce passes. They use players as like a wall to bounce the ball off so they can get on the other side. So Walker pushes Mbappe, he'll lure him in so he can't really turn fast enough. Then he'll fire his ball into Griezmann and suddenly go round in behind to get it back in. And then often if he makes that run, he'll drag players with him out wide, which then leaves an easy pass through to someone like Giroud to be able to get in in that goal. But the thing is that England will be very aware of how Mbappe plays, particularly because he is one of the most famous and best players in the entire world. Now, the obvious race is against Kyle Walker, because he's the very fast, speedy boy for England. And you might think, well, the thing that England will do here probably is revert to that 3-4-3 that they do in the big games, because that makes them more defensively solid. But I don't think it does, and I'll tell you why. Because if we have this back four here, and Walker here, if they change it, which they could do, to put Shaw more as a wide player here, he'd be up against Dembele. Then you've got Maguire over here, Stones in the middle, 1v1 with Giroud, maybe he'll pin off Maguire. Then Walker goes to right centre-back versus Mbappe here. That means Saka would be inside as a forward with Kane. It'll say Foden plays. Midfield two of Rice and Bellingham. Henderson goes away, on comes Kieran Trippier, most likely to be the wing-back. Now, problems you get here. Theo Hernandez comes up here and pins back Trippier, that's what happens there. Upamecano, Varane and Koundé are the defensive three here, but there's also room for them now because they'll be looked after. Tchouameni can look after Saka. Well, basically what we've got here is Griezmann in behind Giroud, Rabiot, Tchouameni. What you get with a midfield two, because although Griezmann is like a second striker, he's also part of the midfield. So what you get is a midfield 3 versus England's 2. So obviously 3v2 in the middle of the pitch is an overload. That is bad. You don't want that. So that's one bad thing there. You could have someone like Walker stepping up to try and help in there, but then that creates more problems because Mbappe's free going loose here. Then Saka's got a track of Meccano. He comes in the midfield. It gives these centre-backs license to come into the middle of the pitch and give you a bit of an overload. Then Foden and Saka, sure enough, can try and get away in the counter, but they're not going to be able to do that much because France are going to have coverage. They're going to be able to pass the ball around and have a bit of control. So what I think England will do is play a back 4, but also a 3 at the same time. How is he going to do that? Well, you already know. I'll show you, just in case you weren't sure. So if we get rid of Kieran Trippier, he's gone. Henderson comes back in to give you the nice balanced midfield. So now you've got Rabiot, Tchouameni and Griezmann versus Rice, who can make sure the ball doesn't get to Griezmann, which means he can't then get the ball into Mbappe. That's locked down. Bellingham gives you loads of options on the counter-attack, and he's just a brilliant player, so he's got to be in there. Henderson then gives you a bit of a ball winner, psychs everyone else up, gets you going. He's a leader on the pitch. You need that sort of thing here, but he can also double up to help you get a 3v2 on Mbappe in these positions. Because then what England can do when they go forward is Saka's obviously going to go nice and wide. Much like Koundé, Walker will go in the half space. Saka can go nice and wide here. Then Stones shifts over, Maguire goes here, and Shaw pushes up. So the back 4 becomes a back 3. Suddenly you've got Mbappe and Giroud are being looked after by Henderson, Walker and Stones, so that's a real safe bit of the pitch here. Bellingham can then get forward in behind Rabiot, which then pushes these guys back, which means Kane can do whatever he wants in this space here. And suddenly you've got loads of options with Shaw pushing back Dembele and Foden getting in behind as well. Because France's strength is on their left side with Mbappe and Theo Hernandez, but their weakness, I think, is this right side of Koundé and Dembele. This guy doesn't do an awful lot of defensive work, really good in the final third, but although he does tactically get back to where he's meant to be, he's not as good defensively as some other players. So they can see a lot of chances from this left-hand side, or France's right-hand side. That's where they might focus their play. And if you've got Foden, great. If you've got Shaw, great. Really good options here. Bellingham will help out, get into this half space as well. But then onto the bench, you can have someone like Jack Grealish who can come on, win you free kicks later on, get you some set pieces. England love a set piece. So that's something that they're going to try and do. And that's why I think England will play the 4-3-3. It makes absolute sense tactically, not from an attacking point of view, but from a defensive and an attacking point of view. It means that Southgate has control of the game. He's got a midfield overload. He's got players who can break. He doesn't have to send too many forwards. You can just attack with Saka, Kane, Foden, Shaw, and maybe Bellingham attacking if you want to. And you still have coverage on the rest of the pitch to deal with everything France can throw at them. And they're not invincible. You've seen teams have a go at them. Even Australia scored against them. Look at how Australia did it in a 4-3-3, 4-1, 4-1, whatever you want to call it. We look at here. This is how Australia scored the first goal, right? They weren't expecting this. This is Australia building up here. Centre-back's going to ping a diagonal ball to the far wide player. So imagine that's Saka in the example we just did. The back 4 becomes a back 3. So the fullback stays deeper. This is Mbappe, this is Giroud, this is Griezmann. They've got coverage. They've got this kind of players who can squeeze in and cut them out if they need to. The ball goes wide here. Then this player takes it down. Imagine Saka doing that. That's something he'd be able to do. Comes inside, and then what you've got is France's back 4 try to get back in their shape. The right back, who is Pavard here, but is now Koundé, because this guy got dropped after this game. He comes inside, and then what you have is the wide left player, Foden, Grealish, Rashford, whoever plays there, sneaks in behind the right back, doesn't get in shape in time, the ball comes across, and they score at the back post. That could be all England need to score a goal early on and then eventually lose 2-1 in the second half. Or on penalties. Who knows? I don't know. I genuinely think England are quite good. And so that's how I think the game might go. That's how England can defeat them, by playing this sort of shape, which looks after France's strong points, but they can exploit France on the counter with players like Foden, Kane, Shaw, Bellingham. They've been hurt on the counter-attack by a few times, different teams. Poland did them a few times. There's also, they're quite weak from throw-ins, so if you get the ball forward quickly, win a throw-in or a quick set piece, you can take advantage of France not getting into their rest position quickly enough. Because while they're good attacking, they're good defensively because they're solid and they stick to what they're told to do. They don't put pressure on much. They don't get really aggressive with you. So there is room for England to be able to dominate this game and take it to them. So there you go. That's how Southgate's boys can beat France. Doesn't mean they will. But good luck to you, all of England and France.
If you liked today's video, please subscribe to the channel. And if you like Tifo, we think that you'll also like The Athletic. If you want the best news, features and interviews about the World Cup, the Premier League and European football, as well as loads of other sports, The Athletic is the place for you. And as part of our special deal, you can get it for £1 per month for 6 months. See the link in the description.